This is a really difficult question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a great question.
That's a really good question.
I love this question, and I think this really is going to help me kind of meditate and grow on it.
Want to hear the answers? Check out Season 2 of New Media Lab with Robert Southgate. New episodes every Tuesday. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and wherever you subscribe to your favorite podcasts.
Hey everybody, this is Diane. Welcome to Biters.
And this is Marnell, and this is the Red Wedding episode. Winter is coming.
Or I've heard the Red Fair. I've heard people say that too.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Oh, brutal.
So we are here to talk about Season 9, Episode 15, The Calm Before.
Which, if this is the calm before, can you imagine the storm?
I can't. I can't imagine what's going to happen next week.
Because I was not calm during this episode.
Well, and I just don't know where they go from here.
Well, looking at the trailers for the next episode, we go a lot of places.
So the only trailer I saw was the one showing the zombies coming up out of the snow.
Okay, there is a second trailer that you should go and watch.
Okay.
Yeah. It sheds a whole new light on where we're headed for the season finale.
Interesting.
And there is a bit of a time jump. I mean, you can kind of tell that from this. I would imagine you can kind of tell that from the amount of snowfall, but that's not a really large amount of snowfall for people living in Alaska.
Right. It could be just a matter of a few hours.
Yeah, that's overnight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even cancel work for that much.
People look at you cross-eyed if you say, I couldn't get out of my driveway.
Right? Right?
All right, so how'd you rate it?
Well, and I was telling you before we started that I am kind of kicking myself for rating Scars so highly last episode. Remember Scars? Remember when we killed a bunch of kids and it was a huge deal? Remember the good old days? Everyone was freaking out about killing kids, and now this episode happened. So I had to bump up my rating, but I can't quite give it a 5 because I didn't love the episode, but I gave it a 4.9 mutual protection packs.
Wow, that's really high.
I did because, like I said, before we podcasted, it's just, we're almost 10 years in and this show still keeps you on the edge. It still keeps you guessing until the end. It still goes new places. And like Scott Gimple said on The Talking Dead, you know, the reason for the difference in the deaths is the butterfly effect, you know? And so I really loved that it's so shocking and so sad and it still brings out so much emotion. I didn't cry though. I still didn't cry.
Oh, there were a couple of places where I kind of teared up.
Oh, when Carol and Daryl, that scene, because it was so reminiscent of season 2 that, yeah. So I rated it kind of highly, but not because I absolutely loved the episode. It's just, this was one of those episodes that kind of defines the show.
So
what was your rating?
You know, we've been joking about all along about how you're cold and dead inside. And we actually joked with Diana from Aim to the Head that you and Steve are real similar in that he says he's cold and dead inside. I kind of feel like I'm the one who's getting cold and dead inside. So I did bump up my rating based on the second watch. And I gave it a 4.84 out of 5 have to versus wanted to situations.
That was a good scene.
So it wasn't quite an A for me. You know, I always think, okay, a 4.5 is an A. That's a 90%.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't give it a 5. I mean, but I had to give it a higher rating than the last episode, Scars. So I had to go to 4.9. But yeah, I have very little notes. You have a lot of notes, so yeah.
So like I said, we'll probably talk for about 45 minutes and then done.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone gets the entire show.
Right.
Oh, sorry, Nathan Welty. It did not cut off when Alpha and Lydia were sitting next to each other.
There were so many people who were spoiled because of the way that their DVRs cut off, or because they didn't realize it was a 90-minute episode.
Right.
And I've done that before.
I have too. And I like, how many times has your DVR just totally messed with you? I mean, from the people who watch the talent shows where they're like just about to announce the winner and it cuts off. It's one of the reasons why I think, cable is dying, that we're all going to watch stuff online, because for once, not having AMC as an option with my cable provider worked out very well for me, because I didn't miss a minute of the action.
Well, I was actually super surprised, like I was telling you, that our DVR caught everything. Because when I was paying attention at the time and I watched it in real time, we get it on Central Time. They were actually quite late with Into the Badlands. They ran quite late and into Talking Dead time. Mm-hmm. So the whole schedule was just off for the evening.
Yeah. But you are on Dish or Direct?
We're on Dish.
Yeah. So I really think that it was just a lot of people with local cable providers. I think Dish wound up doing it right.
Which is rare. Yeah, but I was online afterwards, and there were a lot of people on other podcast sites saying that they had gotten cut off and saying, spoilers, why are you spoiling things for us? That doesn't happen until next week. And it's like, no, you've got another 30 minutes that you need to watch and then come back and talk about things.
Right. And it already went so late, and then Talking Dead was on, and then there was a whole other hour and a half of Walking Dead after the talking. So like, I'm sure people, I don't know if anyone stayed up for it or if they watched it Monday or what, but that just had to be really horrible to miss the last 25 minutes of the episode and have to wait. Because I'm not sure if, did AMC, because I can't get even the AMC website to go through. I'm not sure, because I think they did that in one of the season premieres, I think, where it went long. And so they were just like, screw it, we'll put it on the website. We'll just put it up for free.
I think people who had AMC Premiere were able to go watch it, but I'm not sure if people who don't have Premiere were able to go and pick up the last 30 minutes.
Oh, and they even said it at the beginning of Talking Dead. Sorry for the confusion, if you've missed the last 25 minutes, don't watch the show. Go back and watch Walking Dead, and then come back and watch Talking. So I'm glad that they kind of knew at that point, so that people didn't start watching The Talking Dead and realize, but I'm sure a lot of people logged onto the internet and went, wait, what? Mm-hmm. I stay off the internet on Sunday nights. I think it was you and Phil that I was just like, I mute your guys' chat. You can chat all you want about the show, because I stay offline on Sunday nights.
Well, it was funny. He wanted to chat, and I actually took him to a separate conversation that was just he and I, so we didn't spoil you. But,
that's fine.
But it was funny. I'm pretty sure it was Phil who said, poor Chris Hardwick, thinking about having to wait that extra hour for Into the Badlands to run, and then Talking being on. It would be interesting to see if Talking's numbers were hurt. And I didn't actually see numbers for this week, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. We really don't usually pay attention to Talking numbers, so
I wouldn't know if they were hurt. Every now and then I do. I don't look at them all the time, but like, I'll probably look next week now that I've said something.
Do a comparison.
So I do have numbers for Scars.
Excellent.
So Scars stayed on top in the 18 to 49 group and in overall, despite a college basketball heavy week. And Brian did confirm for us that it was in fact March Madness, and that is college ball, not pro ball.
Right. We got a little tutorial on March Madness.
Right. And so it was 1.7 million in the 18 to 49 group and 4.57 million overall. And those were live plus same day. And then actually both numbers had pretty good increases in Live Plus 3. So the 18 to 49 group increased to 2.6 million, which was a 53% increase. And the overall numbers increased to 6.91 million, which was a 51% increase.
I wonder how the snafu will mess with this week's numbers.
I don't know, because there are going to be a lot of people who went back and watched, but I don't know that it will make any difference in Live Plus same day overall. It'll be interesting to find out.
Right. Well, if you didn't watch it live or if you didn't watch it same day, I'm sure you've been spoiled by now because it's been all over the internet.
It has. So, I usually do a news review for Whisperer's Corner, and there was not a ton of news, but there was a lot of, hey, this is what happened on last night's Walking Dead.
Right. And this is how it compares to how it happened in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those.
So what do you have to say about the title, The Calm Before?
Well, obviously it is alluding to the calm before the storm, which is our next episode. And literally they're going to have a winter storm in the next episode. And it kind of looks like some other kind of storm because according to the trailer that I saw, which I don't think you have, we are crossing over into Whisperer's territory on purpose.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. There was that poll on The Talking Dead where they said, should they retaliate? And 3% of people said no. And it was like, really? Who are those 3%? What show are you watching?
Right?
So I thought that The Calm Before kind of referred to the idyllic scenes that we got from the fair.
Yes.
And also I thought the storm that we're going to see next week. So the heads on the pikes are the start of the storm. And Alpha also makes that reference when she's talking to Ezekiel about they're going to have a long, cold winter.
Yep. It's going to be a hard winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So those were the things that I thought about when I was thinking about the title.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious, but
I think so. So
our writers were Geraldine, I'm probably going to blow her name again, Inoa, Inoa. Help me out, people.
I think it's Inoa.
Okay, you're probably right. That sounds right. And then Channing Powell. And we've talked about Channing Powell a bunch of times, so I'm not going to really go back to her. But Geraldine, say it again for me, Inoa?
Inoa.
She has been a staff writer on all 15 episodes thus far this season, and she has one other writer credit, which was season 9, episode 4, The Obliged.
Wow.
And I had to go back, which is really funny. It hasn't seemed like a season 9, episode 4, so The Obliged. So just this season, episode 4. It hasn't really been that long, but it seems like forever ago that we watched that episode.
It does.
So that was the episode where Rick and Daryl fight and end up in the giant sinkhole.
Yeah.
And it's the episode where Gabriel gets abandoned by Anne or Jadis in the junkyard.
Okay.
And it ends with Rick getting spiked on the rebar.
Yep. Okay. Wow, that does seem like forever ago.
It really does, doesn't it? I mean, the time jump really feels like a real time jump.
Yeah.
So that is her primary work. I didn't really see any other writer credits for her other than the Walking Dead writer credits.
Yeah, no, I don't see any either.
And then our director is a woman named Laura Belzy. And I was thinking about it. Tell me what you think. Do you think we're seeing more female writers and directors with the advent of Angela Kang as the showrunner?
I do. I absolutely do. And, we've talked before about how it seemed like they had the Walking Dead Prime. It was kind of a male-led, male-centric show with Rick and Daryl and all the big, male characters. And then they tried to do Fear the Walking Dead and have it be a female-centric show. And it seems to kind of be swapping, and I'm totally okay with that. But it kind of does seem like when Angela came on that we've kind of gone in a female direction with the show, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
You know, as long as it swaps in the interest of the story, that's all I care about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was totally not on board with Madison. And
no, really?
It had nothing to do with her being a woman. It was just the character. And I'm totally fine with you know, the male driven Garrett Dillahunt and the other guys on Fear the Walking Dead.
Morgan
and Strand. Yep. Totally fine with that.
And I think Scott Gimple, speaking of Fear, said that it was coming back in June.
I know, that is so late.
It seems so far, and we still don't have a date for Preacher, so I'm not quite sure what AMC is doing. I don't know if they're trying to give Into the Badlands a good run in its final season. Someone did point out that they probably didn't want to put anything up against Game of Thrones.
That's very true. There is a show. Have you seen Killing Eve?
I have not, but I know that it's a huge deal and that it is coming to AMC.
It is a very, very good show. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. The female lead, I can't remember her name.
Sandra Oh.
She won an Emmy? Yeah, an Emmy for it, I believe.
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, it's for anyone who loves the serial killer genre. I highly recommend it.
Very good. My favorite murder territory.
Exactly.
I just have to say, since we're off the topic of director, and we'll go back to the director, and on the topic of good television shows, I watched the second episode of season 2 of American Gods. It did not disappoint.
Okay, so I went back and I watched the last couple of episodes that I did not watch last season because you were so highly rating this season of American Gods, and I have to agree, it got me back.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I have to agree.
It departs fairly radically from the books, but it's so good.
Well, look at where we are with Walking Dead.
Right. And I believe that Neil Gaiman is the showrunner for season 2 of American Gods. So they have the maestro himself in charge.
That's interesting. I always love to see that because I know that going from paper to screen is sometimes not everything translates, not everything fits in there time-wise. So it's always interesting to see the content creator take hold of the series when it goes to air and how they change things based on those two things, and because maybe they regretted, killing a character in the books and now they have a second opportunity to keep it going, or vice versa. Maybe they wanted to kill somebody off in the books and they can do it on screen. So I love it when the content creators get involved.
So 2 more things about American Gods. I read somewhere that Neil Gaiman is working on a sequel, an actual sequel. There's a book in related mythology about Anansi's son, but not a direct sequel. And I read somewhere that he's working on a direct sequel now. Also, they did hire a different showrunner for season 3, so it's going to be interesting to see how that translates.
Yeah.
But yeah, people, if you're looking for something good to watch, I just highly recommend American Gods. It's been really fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, it lost me kind of in the last half of season 1, but I slogged through it. For me, I slogged through it, and I picked it up in season 2, and it's been great. So,
isn't Mr. Nancy great? I love him. He is my favorite character. Although Mr. Wednesday is pretty dang close.
I just love Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow Moon's pretty awesome.
I was a fan of him on the 100. So when he was killed off of that show, I was very disappointed.
He's a pretty great actor.
He is.
All right, so back to our director. Sorry, our little side segue there, guys. So our director is a woman named Laura Belsey. She has 22 director credits overall, and according to IMDb, she is known for Arrow, The Flash, and The Walking Dead. Although, interestingly, this is her first Walking Dead episode.
It is. I know her from a lot of stuff. She directed an episode of Preacher.
She did. Les Enfants du Sang, The Children of Blood.
Yeah.
Which was a great episode. I loved that character. I shouldn't say that character. Those characters. I loved that whole departure in Preacher. It was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun. A couple episodes of Bull. I want to get into that.
I'm not familiar with that.
So do you know the show NCIS?
I do.
So one of the characters from NCIS, Tony DiNozzo, aka Michael Weatherly. It's a show basically about how Dr. Phil became Dr. Phil, and it's totally not what you think. But it looks really, really good. I love Michael Weatherly, and there's a couple of people who are in the show or who have been in the show that I love. And I know that they're no longer on the show because of a recently released information about a lawsuit against the show, but we won't go into that because I like Michael Weatherly, and I think there was just some miscommunication on set. So she's directed a couple episodes of that. Criminal Minds.
She has a Law and Order credit.
Of course, Law and Order SVU. Who doesn't?
Right. I don't think our featured cast member does.
No, he doesn't, but he's young. He's young. Give him time.
Right. She did direct, and I thought this looked really interesting, a documentary called Katrina's Children about kids from New Orleans and the impact that Hurricane Katrina had on them.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was one of her really early credits, and it looked like it would be worth checking out.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, not exactly happy subject matter, but it sounds really interesting. So I just love her because she directed in Preacher, and now she's got a Walking Dead episode to her name. And probably one of the pivotal episodes of the series.
Definitely. I mean, I had been looking forward to Scars, and I didn't see beyond it, and totally forgot that this was coming.
Oh, see, I have been waiting for this. As I've kind of gone back through the comic books for our Comics Corner segment, I've definitely been waiting for this to show up. I wasn't sure if they would actually follow through with the heads on pikes for this episode, or if they were going to wait until the season finale.
Yeah, that's, for some reason they seem to kind of do that. They usually make the second to the last episode the bigger episode.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know where they're going to take it from here, but they're going to have to really deliver for the finale.
Yep.
So, speaking of heads on pikes, who's our featured cast member?
Henry! Matt Lintz, or as a lot of his co-actors call him, Matthew Lintz. But everything online says Matt Lintz. So, Henry is, of course, Matt Lintz. He's 17 in real life. And we know his siblings from the show, of course. We've talked about this before, how as Henry, the older Henry, his younger brother played young Henry before the time jump.
His brother Maxon.
And then his sister Madison played Sophia. So he comes from a big acting family. They have another sibling, Mackenzie, who is also an actress, and their mother is Kelly Collin Lintz, who is an actress.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit. But I found it interesting that he was up for the role of Spider-Man and lost it to Tom Holland.
I did too, and I actually had to go and make sure that Tom Holland was the Avengers Spider-Man because I haven't really kept up on the franchise.
Right, and I'm really surprised by it because that Matthew Lintz would have been a really young Spider-Man, and I can't see it.
But I can actually envision him in that role, and it certainly would have taken us to very different places in The Walking Dead. But
right?
I can see him as Spider-Man.
So I can see him as Spider-Man now as like 17, soon to be 18-year-old Matt Lintz, but I can't see him as Spider-Man back when Tom Holland started playing the role.
Because that was a few years ago.
Yeah, Tom Holland's like 5 years older than Matt, so I couldn't see it. So I think that all worked out as far as casting. So he started acting, I think it said around the age of 7. He started to do voiceover and commercial work. But there's none of those on his IMDb credits, so I don't know what he voiced over at that age, or what commercials he was in. But the big movie that he started in was Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Which I had never watched that. I've seen the original Halloween, and I haven't really followed that. You've probably seen it.
I have.
Because you are the horror queen.
I'm the horror queen, and I love Rob Zombie movies. He did it was kind of a departure for a Halloween movie, but then sequels usually are, and it was a Rob Zombie movie. I almost don't even consider it a Halloween movie. It just happened to have Michael Myers in it.
Do you remember Matt Lintz from the movie? Did he have a relatively big role? Or...
No, it had to have been a tiny role, because I didn't see any pictures and I can't remember him from it. So it mainly focused around the female character in the show. So I don't remember him in that. His next credit is for the movie called The Crazies. Did you ever see any of that?
No.
So The Crazies is actually a remake of a movie, The Crazies, the newer one with Timothy Olyphant. I absolutely loved. I've seen it. I haven't seen the original, but he played distraught son number 2. So
not a very big role there either.
Not a very big role, but that was 9 years ago, so he was like 8. So then he moves on to the TV series. He played in an episode of Memphis Beat. And interestingly, Garrett Dillahunt had an episode of Memphis Beat.
Oh, really? So a little crossover there.
Little crossover. So, The Way Home, and then on the TV series Army Wives. Now, his mother was in 2 episodes of Army Wives, so I kind of wonder if maybe he and his mother were in an episode together. I didn't quite find that out, but I just found that interesting that he's in the same show as his mom, so I think a little nepotism happened there, which is totally fine.
It's perfectly okay.
Having your kids on set, that's cool. A Cinderella Story, Once Upon a Song. I didn't see that Cinderella Story. I saw the first one with the Lizzie McGuire chick, which I think this one is more of a kind of a Glee type one, or a High School Musical where they sing a lot. So not really,
not really your thing.
Not really my thing.
Oh, I really loved Glee.
I'll stick to my Halloween.
You can watch Halloween 2, and I'll watch the sing along.
There we go. He had a couple more credits after that. Level Up, A Smile as Big as the Moon, Piranha 3 Double D, which it looks exactly how it sounds.
Oh, thank you. I didn't explore it. It sounded pretty awful.
He played Freckled Boy, so I don't think he had a big role in that. What to Expect When You're Expecting.
Oh.
I love this. He played Disruptive Kid, which I think describes all children.
Children are creepy. Marn's a crazy dog lady.
I am. Apparently, according to our fans, I am a crazy dog lady, but kids are creepy came in a close second.
It did come in a close second.
So he was in the show Revolution, which I don't think I saw the last season of it, but it was a really good show to start out. It was kind of a post-apocalyptic show itself. A TV show called Banshee. Sleepy Hollow, which I did watch like the first season of Sleepy Hollow. I never got too into it.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes of it. It was okay.
It was interesting. Killed the Messenger, and then the movie Pixels, which have you seen Pixels?
No, I have not.
It's super funny. So it's basically aliens come to Earth, but they kind of style themselves after like 1980s video game characters like Pac-Man and things like that. It had Adam Sandler, Kevin James, and Peter Dinklage.
Oh, it had a pretty big cast.
Yes. So I think that was probably pretty big for him. Then he was in a movie called Free State of Jones, which I haven't seen, and it looks really, really good. It's got Matthew McConaughey in it, so I probably will try and check it out. And also Kerry Russell, Sean Bridges. So he's been acting with some big actors. And then I think his more big breakout role recently was in The Alienist.
Yeah, it looks like he had 10 episodes on that.
Yes. So my other half actually freaked out tonight because I was watching an interview with Matt Lintz, and he was talking about being on The Alienist. And my other half was like, no, he wasn't. It's like, yeah, he was in just as many episodes of The Alienist than he was in Walking Dead.
Yes.
And so he plays Stevie Taggart. And the role that he plays in the show is actually kind of a very adult content role. The Alienist, Laszlo and his kind of sidekick John kind of take him in. He's a street kid. They take him in, and Stevie helps them with basically trying to find serial killers. And he actually at one point goes undercover as what's called a boy whore, which is exactly how it sounds. He was a boy prostitute who dressed up as a girl on the show. So it like very super adult content for someone his age. And he did an amazing, amazing job in the role. And like my other half didn't even realize like that this was Henry on The Walking Dead. So he totally filled the role perfectly. And didn't, you could not have picked him out of the lineup. So, and then of course we all know him now as Henry on The Walking Dead. And that seems to be his last acting credit. I don't know if he's going to continue with acting or maybe pursue something else school-wise, kind of like Chandler Riggs, and then get back into it. But yeah, so he's had a long, big history for someone of such a tender age.
So just wanted to throw in a few other things. He recently had an interview that was about 20 minutes long on an episode of the Walking Dead cast. Mm-hmm. And I went back and listened to that last night just to kind of see what he had to say. He said that he initially didn't want to do the role of Henry.
I think he said on the Talking Dead, the episode that he was on, he said he basically asked his brother permission.
Right. Yeah, he didn't want his little brother to feel weird about it. So, and he said that they had a family meeting and his brother was actually really encouraging and kind of the one who convinced him to take the role.
Yeah, everyone has such high praise for the cast and the show that I can't imagine that he would say anything else, because who wouldn't want to be a part of that world, Well,
I think he didn't want his little brother to feel bad about losing the role with the time jump, so he didn't want it to be awkward.
Right.
He said in the interview that he did most of his training with the Bow Staff in the summer before they started shooting this season. And it sounds like he really enjoyed working with the Bow Staff. He said his little brother was really good with the Bow Staff. So he felt like he had to be on it to carry that on.
Right.
What else? He said that he feels like Henry is not really someone who sees himself as a hero, but is just kind of the guy who wants to do the next right thing.
Right.
And that he always wants to see the good in people. So he really played Henry with that ethic.
Yeah, given that, he was raised by the King and Carol and had Morgan as kind of his mentor. I can't imagine him turning out any other way. I know that we talked about how annoying he's been on the show, but he's a teenage boy. They're all annoying. Well, they're annoying until they're about 27. So,
and one of the things that I thought was really interesting about the interview is that he said that he really felt like the point where Henry kills Gavin was actually his turning point to become good. That he was really traumatized by that and ended up turning that into an experience to make himself the person that he became.
Yeah, he became slightly less bratty after that. Then then Lydia came in the picture and it was all downhill from there.
It was downhill from there. Leave it to a girl to ruin it all.
Right?
Regarding taking over a lot of Carl's story, he said that it was really daunting to step into Carl's storyline. And I think we talked in Whisperer's Corner about how Chandler Riggs was really excited for him and really encouraged him to do that.
I know. The headline on Digital Spy a week ago was, The Walking Dead Chandler Riggs thinks it's super cool that Henry has stepped into Carl's role. Yeah, that was a little early.
I know, right? He was actually doing the interview with the Walking Dead cast knowing what we found out on Sunday. So I have to give him a lot of credit for not spilling. He did a really good job just answering the questions and being really enthusiastic about the interview and not letting on that he had already filmed his last episode.
Wow. That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know. I heard this, you know, kind of internet rumor mill. It's not been a headline or anything like that, is that he was actually very disappointed to have Henry be killed off on the show. And that's one of the reasons why we actually didn't see him on The Talking Dead. We saw Enid and Tara interviewed on the show, but we did see Henry.
Interesting.
And they did make the point that that a lot of the cast was in Germany doing a con over there.
Right.
But you know, you can do it via Skype. So I think he needs some time to process the loss of you know, such an amazing opportunity, an amazing character that, you know, that time has ended and he has to move on at some point. I mean, he doesn't have to for a couple of years. He can still go to cons and everyone will still want his autograph and his picture. But I think, you know, he'll have a lot of choice of roles after this. So as tough as it has to be to move on from something like this, I think he'll fare very well.
Well, I've got to tell you, as much as we griped about the Henry Lydia storyline, I'm really disappointed. I am too. And that's when I saw the three main characters' heads on spikes. I wasn't sad. I was disappointed, you know, in that their storylines have come to an end. I think mostly for me, it was Tara, followed by Enid and then Henry. Mm-hmm. But altogether, like, it's just rough. And it was completely unexpected. I did not expect those three. I expected, you know, every time somebody in the episode like went off screen, I was like, it's them, they're dying. And I of course expected the king to die too. They did a really good job setting up and teasing various deaths and then
every time. Oh,
and we'll talk more about that.
We will get into that. Because that's huge.
So anything else about Matt?
So if you go and like him on social media, he's Matt_Lintz on Instagram, and then Matt Lintz 405 on Twitter. But he has this great, no matter which one you go to, he has this great picture of him standing next to his head on a spike. So that's really funny. And what's funny is I feel like we're missing something because the bloody makeup that he's wearing in the picture is nothing that we saw in the episode. So I think something got cut out of the episode and we missed it, and not because we missed 25 minutes of the end of this episode, but like there's this whole blood smear, like his head was chopped off and like he's got a bloody face and his eyes are all darkened and everything. So I had heard some scuttlebutt that instead of AMC Prime airing their episodes a week early, that AMC Prime members were getting additional scenes that the rest of us aren't getting.
Oh, really?
So boo on you, AMC.
Sorry, dropped my phone there.
I thought that was a rim shot. Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I feel like maybe we missed something with the makeup that he's got going on in that picture, but whatevs.
Well, I wonder if they'll release that extra content when they put things out on DVD.
I would imagine so.
That's kind of irritating.
It is.
Well, so on to Whisperer's Corner. Speaking of DVD and extra things and cool things, Greg Nicotero is directing next week.
Ooh.
So you know it's going to be a big episode.
Definitely.
I did not see if it was going to be extra long. Did you?
I believe it's going to be extra long, yes.
Okay, so everybody
set your
be
DVRs.
prepared.
Yes. Set your DVRs to record the thing that's after whatever is on after The Walking Dead.
Yeah, make sure it's absolutely over when you go to comment in various forums on Facebook.
Yes.
Let's see. I read on another podcast page, speaking of going and commenting on other forums on Facebook, that the reason that we did not see Cindy from Oceanside, that we actually saw Rachel instead, is that the actress who plays Cindy is acting in a spinoff for Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, that's right. I think Thomas O'Mara said that on his Facebook page. Yeah. So I watched like the first 3 seasons of Pretty Little Liars, so I don't know how it ends, but apparently there's a spinoff. So maybe I need to catch up on that one day.
And you can see Cindy.
And I can see Cindy. But I have to say that I did love seeing Rachel.
It was pretty funny seeing her again and realizing that she was the little kid who flipped Tara off.
Yeah. Sociopath Rachel.
Yes.
I loved her. I was going to kill Tara as soon as she washed up on the shore.
She has not forgotten that.
Nope. But how she's grown. She has the representative from Oceanside.
Signed the charter and everything.
Right? Crazy.
So other news is that Michael Cudlitz is getting another turn in the director's chair. He has confirmed that he is going to be directing season 10, episode 3.
Sweet. In fact, I was actually just watching The Talking Dead that he was on for directing that episode because Matt Lintz was on the couch too.
Right. I saw that. Stradivarius.
Yep.
Let's see what else. There is a fan theory out there, according to Digital Spy, that Eugene will make contact with Rick on the ham radio next episode.
Oh my God.
I think it's total garbage. I don't think that it's actually going to come to fruition because Andrew Lincoln has said done is done with the series. But the theory is out there.
How could he make contact with them and not make that and not have that be a huge thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden now we're on the mission to search for wherever Rick is.
Right. That's a very good point. That definitely puts the fan theory to rest, if nothing else.
Yeah, no, that can't happen. Because, like, Michonne would be just, like, point me in the direction of wherever that signal was coming from, and that's where season 10's going. Screw the Whispers. I don't care about the Horde.
Let's see. Another thing that we've got is another thing about Michael Cudlitz. And one of us, I think it was me, posted this to our Facebook page. So there is some discussion that maybe Michael Cudlitz is going to come back in the movies as Abe. That there may be flashbacks in the movies.
Oh, weird.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I don't know that I totally buy that either, but he's kind of floated that theory.
Yeah, I feel like his story's done. I feel like we got his backstory, and yeah.
Well, we had talked at one point about the tapes that Al has on Fear the Walking Dead. And
that's right.
There is that tape with Eugene and Abe.
That is right.
I think it says Abe and the Doctor on the label. I could certainly see a flashback on Fear, but I don't know that I see him coming back to the main Walking Dead story.
I'll buy that. Yeah, I could totally see that. The tapes.
But that's about all I've got for Whisperer's Corner. There really was not a heck of a lot in the news this week. There was a lot of discussion around the plotline for this episode and a lot of discussion around whose head was on the pike. But not much in the way of news.
No, and I think because we're winding down the season, you're not going to see very much until, next fall. It's going to ramp up. When we get ready for season 10, we'll probably start seeing a lot of Fear the Walking Dead stuff. But
I hope so. I mean, I'm interested in the episode or in the upcoming season of Fear the Walking Dead.
I am too.
Never thought we'd say that.
No,
it's kind of like seeing your kid in the zombie apocalypse take a girl to the movie.
Everything you just said sounds impossible.
All right, on to goods, bads, and uglies. So tell me you're good.
My good, and I've kind of already talked about this, was we're 9 seasons in. We're at the end of 9 seasons, and I wanted to flip to the back page to find out who dies. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat this entire episode. And I can't believe the show is still doing that to us. Like I'm pretty dead inside as far as people dying, but the excitement is there. The anticipation is there. The fear for the characters is still there. Like I don't want them to die, but it's just amazing. I seriously we had to pause the episode like 58 minutes in, and I'm like, oh my God, there's still 30 minutes to this episode. And I seriously so wanted to just go Google headlines because I wanted to know who dies. The anticipation was killing me, and I didn't. And I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, but I was pretty surprised and shocked at who didn't die versus who did die. I was disappointed that Tara went. That's my biggest disappointed. And surprisingly enough, DJ, the former savior. Really? Yeah, the former savior who kind of joined the Highwaymen. I don't know. He's just a very good looking man. I kind of had the feels when I saw his head on a spike. But yeah, I absolutely loved the excitement and anticipation that surrounded this episode. And like I said, I had been looking forward to the scars all season long and completely forgot that this was coming. So the extra half hour was awesome.
So did you find that you were not even entirely sure that our group of 4, Carol, Daryl, Yumiko, and Michonne, did you feel at certain points like they weren't safe?
Yes.
I did too.
Yes.
Which was really good.
And then when Alpha was inside of the kingdom and lurking around, and she spotted Sadiq, Eugene, and Rosita, and she kind of looked at them and was like, huh. And then King Ezekiel came into her view and kind of interrupted that moment. I thought for sure that, because I've heard all along that Rosita was dying, that her head was going to be on a pike. And then, when Ezekiel came along and he took her off to show her the clothing booze, I was like, oh my God, he's dead. Like at every turn, I was just like, you're dead. You're dead. Wait, no, you're dead.
Wasn't she just unutterably creepy as Debbie from Alexandria?
Seriously, she reminded me of one of the Manson chicks.
Ah, you're right. That's a good call.
I totally got that feeling with the long blonde hair
and the squeaky farm of the apocalypse.
Yeah, and just her sweet little accent and just creeps me out. Yeah.
She was horrible.
Yeah.
in the very best way.
In the best way.
Yes.
So what was your good?
My good is really long, so strap in. So there were lots of really good small moments throughout the episode, and I'll just list a few. I really liked Ezekiel's nod to Carl, Rick, and Jesus in his speech.
Mm-hmm.
I loved where Judith says to Ezekiel and Carol, I've been drawing pictures of you since I was little. You're Carol and you're the king.
Yes.
Oh, that was such a great line. And every time that kid delivers a line like that and just gets you, I just fall in love with her a little bit more.
Nailed it.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually teared up a little bit when Carol greeted Henry and told him to never run away like that again.
On the second watch,
I know, wasn't that sad?
Yeah, that was terrible. And then like later on, when they were all deciding where everyone was going to go, and Henry's like, I want to show Lydia around the fair, and Carol's like, I won't leave without saying goodbye.
Which was that brings me right to my next point, which was I loved the scene where Connie and Kelly are talking to each other.
Yes.
And Kelly says any goodbye could be the last.
Could be your last.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have that written down. Yeah. Because it came directly on the heels of Carol saying that to Henry.
Oh, I didn't realize that timing.
Yeah, upon the rewatch, those are quite nearly back to back. And then of course, on the rewatch I knew what had happened, and that, Carol's goodbye was her last goodbye. Oh.
Okay, so another thing in my good was the misdirects. So, and I just listed a few again, but when Enid calls Alden over to her, I was like, man, Alden is toast.
Yep.
I was sure he was dead.
Yep.
And then when Yumiko and Magna split up so that Yumiko can go with Daryl and Michonne and Carol, I was like, that's it. One of them is going to die.
Exactly. Every single time you had people splitting off from each other, I was like, they're dead. No, they're dead.
Well, and the opposite. So with like the sweet little scenes where Henry and Lydia are kissing and Henry's like, I can't believe that they were that awful to you, and talking about the kids from Hilltop, I got completely lulled into the Henry and Lydia show, and I did not think that Henry was going to end up on a pike. Well,
and of course I didn't think that really, even though, we had the whole scene where I just talked about with Eugene and Sadiq and Rosita and the king and everything, I figured that everyone inside of Kingdom was safe,
I totally thought Ezekiel was going to die, and I'm so glad he didn't, because I just love Ezekiel so much. Yeah. But they foreshadowed it over and over and over.
Yep. There are two characters that I was going to be very, very upset if I saw their heads on pikes, and it was the king, because it's been teased, and I figured this is it. I was going to be very upset. And Dog. If I saw Dog's head on a pike, that was it.
And Jerry. I was actually really worried about Jerry, too.
Yeah, that one kind of hit me a couple of times, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job with misdirections in terms of hinting at things that didn't actually happen.
Yes.
So what was your bad?
My bad was when Carol and Daryl and Michonne and I think it was Yumiko were all snuck up on by this giant horde of walkers and whisperers. Now, whisperers I can see sneaking up on you in the dark because they have a little bit control over where they walk and what they brush up against. But when you have this whole herd of walkers come up that closely to you, and they're not rustling leaves, and they're not breaking twigs, and they're not rustling bushes, and
good point, because they're just random and shambling. They don't have any control like the whisperers do, and
they kind of growl and everything. I can't suspend my disbelief enough to see that they got within 10 feet of surrounding the group without the group knowing, because they were on high alert. It's dark. You're on the hunt for the whisperers and the people that they took from that were coming from Hilltop. I can't imagine that walkers got within 10 feet of them without alerting them.
That's a really good call.
I was very, very annoyed by that. But, of course, it had to be part of the plot. So it was a small bad, but it irked me both times that I watched.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what was your bad?
Well, so I think this is the first time I've actually ever second-guessed a cold open from The Walking Dead. I've always been a huge fan of the cold open. I think it's something that they, up until this episode, have always done really, really well. Like, there have been cold opens that have left me stunned. this cold open, I was like, who is this couple? Why should I care about this couple? I just feel like maybe if they had made them people that we knew, that it would have sucked me in a little harder right away.
Yeah, I can see that. I originally thought that they were going to be escaped whisperers.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, when I first saw the guy battling, I thought he was like running away from the camp or running away from whisperers, and then, you know, his wife comes in and takes out a walker and everything. I was completely convinced that they were running away from Alpha and that they were going to go seek refuge with one of our communities.
Well, and I was definitely like, why on earth is Alpha scalping this person?
Right? I thought the same thing. I'm like, that's weird. When did we start actually? I mean, yeah, we take their faces, but why are we scalping them? That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they took a big gamble on this cold open, and that's not something that I've ever seen The Walking Dead do. They usually nail it pretty hard.
Yeah, I didn't mind it because of it was basically a plot device. But I think you're right. If it had been people that we already recognized from Hilltop, it would have meant something more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
So your ugly, what was your ugly?
My ugly was actually a good ugly, and I talked about it already. I love that we see Rachel because I don't know if I love to hate her or hate to love her.
Just love her.
Yeah, she was just like a little psycho. I loved her. She was so sassy, and I cannot believe that basically, for all intents and purposes, she is running Oceanside. She's the representative that was sent to the fair, and she signed the charter, and, you know, she's pledging soldiers and training space and things like that. So
you love her because she reminds you of you.
She does. She does. Oh, if only not if it weren't for civilization, I would have probably been Rachel. Poking people with sticks on the beach.
Flipping them off.
Yeah. I was really surprised, and of course now we know in all practicality why Cindy wasn't there. It's you know, because of conflicting stuff with the show, and not because she's not in Oceanside anymore. But yeah, I at first I didn't recognize her, and then I was like, wait a minute. And I went to IMDb and I looked and I was like, yeah, that is Rachel. And it's the same girl who played Rachel.
No way. Is it really?
It is. And what's funny is I saw on somebody's Twitter, on one of the Walking Dead's Twitter or something, somebody had commented and they were like, who did they recast Cindy with? You know, they thought that was Cindy, but of course she signed the charter, Rachel.
Mm-hmm, she did.
So I'm so glad that Rachel's back, and I love to see that she's grown and matured, and, you know, she seems to be a pretty good leader, and I really hope that we see more of her and Oceanside in the future.
I would not have thought it was the same actress. All I can say is holy growth spurt.
Well, yeah.
I mean, what? It's been 2 years, maybe
yeah.
3.
You know, for some reason, I was like, it's been 6 years, but of course that's on the show. That's not in real life.
Right.
It may have been 3 years. I don't think she was in, like, because remember, we hadn't seen, and you know what? I am wrong. They did recast her.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes a little more sense.
The actress's name is Aviana Meinherr, and she has 1 credit for The Walking Dead.
Aha. So
Yep.
a break for a young actress. Good for her.
A very good recast, because it's the eyes. She's got these beautiful blue eyes that the original Rachel had also. So I stand corrected.
Good on you for catching the eyes. I see that at all.
She's gorgeous. Hopefully we'll see her in the future and she'll be a featured cast member.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So what was your ugly?
Well, we've already really talked about it, but my ugly was the payoff of the heads on the pikes.
Oh,
I loved the way that Alpha teased it to Daryl. I've marked the border to the north. You'll see it as you leave.
that is, that's so awful and so creepy and so amazing for the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Alec and Ozzy who were highwaymen, DJ, who's a former savior, and then Frankie, who was also a former savior. She was the girl with the vibrant red hair.
She was one of Negan's wives.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I actually read an article kind of trying to follow up on who each of the people were, and she was one of Negan's wives.
That's right. I do remember her in her vibrant red hair and black dress. That's right. So Tammy Rose, and we kind of got that spoiler beforehand.
Right.
With Brett Butler posting that was her last episode. Rodney, which no love lost there.
Right.
Addie, which I'm shocked and I'm disappointed to see that Addie died. She was the one that kind of maybe sort of had a crush on Henry, but he didn't have a crush on her, and because Lydia was in the picture. Enid, of course, Tara, and Henry.
You know, and I shouldn't have been surprised by Enid because we had talked about how Caitlin Nacon has moved from Georgia to LA.
Yes.
So I should have totally been prepared, but I still was shocked and really bummed out.
You know, and we really shouldn't have been shocked because they were focusing on the Enid and Alden story quite a bit. So we should have known that one of them was going to die.
I got a message from Thomas O'Mara and he was like, it totally got predicted. And I was like, I missed it. I mean, other than like them highlighting the relationship. And he was like, no, it's the two of them walking with the candied apples. Red balls on sticks.
Yeah. I did see that. That's funny. I did like in the end how Siddiq he did his little speech and they showed flashes of the characters fighting, and specifically Addie and Frankie seemed to, and of course Enid and Tammy Rose seemed to get out of their restraints and fight. But I mean, Addie and Frankie had their hands tied behind their backs and were gagged and were still kicking at people. And it was very heroic and very emotional. So originally I didn't like Siddiq's little speech thingy on the first watch, but then on the rewatch I really listened and I watched all the people fighting and everything, and it kind of grew on me. So
there are fans who are saying that he's part of a conspiracy with the Whisperers because he survived. I don't think that. I don't think that at all.
They said that. But so we're getting into Rotting Potpourri now.
Okay, we're in Rotting Potpourri. Let me flip back to that starting page. Okay.
So if anybody I think is in a conspiracy with the Whisperers, and I don't think he is, but Gabriel, like, just maybe it's that creepy eye thing.
Stop picking on Gabriel. He's a family man now.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't think that he's going to turn and sell us out to the Whisperers, is because he's a family man. But when he was sitting down and talking to Rachel and Tara, he had something about him that was just not quite right. So and maybe it's because Siddiq is another age appropriate attractive male that I don't want to believe that he's selling us out to the Whisperers. I do believe that he was taken just like the rest of them, and he was left to tell the tale. You know?
I don't think anybody's selling us out. I think that Alpha really did infiltrate.
Right. And it's sort of a famous thing, it's like they never leave any witnesses, and it's like, well, then how does anybody know the story? You always have to leave somebody behind to tell the story. And that's how lore starts and everything. So I really think that Steek was, what's funny is he was intentionally left alive, but they tied him to a tree.
Right.
Like, that's not guaranteeing he's going to live to
That's
tell the tale.
That's a good point. A walker could have easily gotten him.
Right?
So the thing that I really liked that he said in his speech was that he felt like he was left alive to tell a story that was going to drive the communities apart. And he
Yes.
really wanted to make the point to try to bring the communities together because people really fought together and died as heroes.
Yeah, and that's on my rewatch. That's what really got me. I don't think I paid close enough attention the first time around because I saw the heads on pikes and I thought the episode was over. And then, we all of a sudden we roll into a big speech by Sadiq and I'm like, what's going on? Why? like anybody's paying attention at this point. I wasn't.
People are still back at the pikes.
If they made it there at all.
Right. Good point. So I really liked the way that Ezekiel opened the fair. I mentioned his call back to Rick, Carl, and Jesus, but I loved what he said about we can unite not against a common enemy, but for the common good.
Yeah.
It was Ezekiel speechifying at his best. He just did a great job. And I love the king so much. I'm glad he's still with us.
I am too.
I hope he survives the season finale.
So here's the thing. Based on some things that happened in this episode and just a tiny bit that's in the trailer that you haven't seen, the king survived, Carol survived, Henry didn't. And what's that going to do to their relationship?
Oh, no, I don't want that to mess up their relationship.
I know. It's a terrible thought, but hear me out. So, Carol's going to go into combat mode. I think, losing Sophia broke her, and now losing Henry is going to send her into battle mode. And the last person that Carol saw Henry with was the king. And so I think there's going to be a little bit of blame there. And even the king might do some self-blame. So I don't know what that's going to do for their relationship going forward. And I hate to say that, but, love in the apocalypse is a very difficult thing.
I really hope you're wrong.
Me too. I hope that I'm wrong also. And it's not like I haven't been wrong before in this episode.
Let's see. Another thing that I really liked was, but it made me sad, was realizing how long it had been since Judith had seen Carol and Ezekiel. Michonne really did keep the communities very separate.
Right.
Because the tone of Carol's voice, Judith?
She looked at him and was like, Judith?
Mm-hmm.
Looking around like, this has to be Judith. There's no other child this age that's around with Michonne. Yeah.
Speaking of Michonne, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, go ahead.
I was really glad that Michonne and Tara got the chance to bury the hatchet.
Yeah, definitely. Michonne and everyone buried the hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It was before you cut in. I had a thought and it left. Oh, I know what it was. Connie and Daryl.
Right? I kind of felt like him leaving Dog with her was really fueling the shipping.
Yeah, would you feed my dog? And he was doing the motion. So I really think that I'm really hoping that he will learn sign language. But even after she walked away with Dog, there was still that lingering moment that he was looking on her. So
I know.
Yeah, I feel it.
They're doing their best to ship this.
And like I've said before, I don't care if it's like a romantic relationship. I just like the pairing. I think they would be good together, and not even just as a couple. I think just, kind of as outcasts,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I thought there was a little bit of chemistry there, and I'm not shipping either. I just mean in terms of a good connection between the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. He trusts her.
That's a heavy thing.
Yep. I think the only other person he really trusts is Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that was the other thing that was hard was going back and rewatching the Stradivarius Talking Dead. That was the episode where on the show, Matt Lintz was talking about how Carol really trusts Daryl to look after Henry. And so, of course, Daryl is the one that brings, Henry to Kingdom and everything. And then, he's safe inside of Kingdom, and Daryl goes off somewhere and Henry's head winds up on a pike. And so, I mean, it's terrible to think about, but it's like Daryl wasn't watching Henry, and not for his fault at all, but Daryl wasn't watching Henry, and Henry dies, and the only person she trusted to watch him was out with her, and he dies.
I'm really hoping Carol's brain doesn't go there, but grief can make you do crazy things.
Yes, grief can absolutely make you do crazy things, and who knows where this is going to take Carol.
Did you notice, speaking of Carol, that she signed the charter Queen Carol?
Yes, I did.
I loved that.
I did too.
I also thought that Michonne having Gabriel sign for Alexandria was a very nice touch.
Yes, I absolutely agree, because I just expected her to just sign away and to have that forethought of really the head of the council should be the one to sign, not the, what is she?
Security
chief. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so the Connie Kelly scene.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the feeling that there was something deeper around her grief around a baby?
She does seem to be stuck on it, and I know maybe it's because she was the one that actually did the rescuing. But yeah, there might be something there.
I couldn't really tell if it was her grief around possibly losing a child of her own, or if it was just kind of generalized grief about how the world has changed.
Yeah. Well, wasn't she was a journalist, and I forget what her claim to fame was. Was it combat journalism, or was it the kind of like the Spotlight church scandal children thingy?
I think the combat journalism, that's Al. I think you're confusing her with Al from Fear.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
So yeah, I don't really know what her big journalistic scoop was.
Yeah, I remember Kelly saying something about it when they were in front of the council, that she took down a bunch of guys even before the apocalypse.
I would have to go back and watch that episode.
So I think she definitely has a sweet spot for children. But if it's because she lost one of hers, that even adds to the story.
Yeah, it makes me wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Another moment that was close to that moment in time, and it was just something that I commented on in my notes. I loved watching Jerry play with his kids and with Judith. That was so cute.
That was cute. It makes me wonder how long he had to have those two girls on his back.
Right.
For, how many takes that took.
Oh, they probably felt like nothing.
Right.
They were probably just like flies.
Right. So my other half gave us credit for it, but it wasn't us. I believe it was the Talking Dead, and it might have been Aim for the Head. Eugene is indeed running a D&D dungeon in Alexandria.
I loved that moment where he says to Rosita, why don't you come do this?
Raid.
And she's like, don't push it.
Right? That whole moment between them, like, he is trying so hard to not be in love with her, but everything she says and does just makes him love her more. I feel so bad for the guy.
Well, and I've got to tell you, it's not because of the heads on pikes. It's because of little moments like that I actually went back and rated this episode a little higher than I was going to, because there were just so many moments of good connection between characters.
Yeah.
I loved the scene with Rosita and Eugene. It was really great.
Yeah. And, another one, I'm really glad that Luke survived, because he's just so funny, him and Enid and Alden and a mid-tempo ballad. What are you talking about?
Right.
I love him.
I was actually really surprised that nobody from that group died. I was really surprised that nobody from the Eugene, Rosita, Ezekiel, Sadiq mess died.
They did so
I was surprised
good
by
with the
their
misdirection.
choices. I was very surprised by their choices.
Yeah, every time I thought I had it figured out, I was like, nope, that person's dying. Nope, that person's dying. And it, one point I even thought Lydia was going to die. It was very well done. And I did not expect that many to die. I mean, there were 10 of them.
No, there were, you're right. There were 10. I think there were 12 in the comic book. I think that was the difference.
I just, like I said at the top of the episode, I mean, this was like the Red Wedding. It was just a bloody swath through the characters, and it crossed most, we had former saviors, we had the Highwaymen, we had Hilltoppers, we had Kingdomers, we had 3 really main characters, and it just, but it was very well done in that I think, I hate to say it, but not a lot of people are very upset. I mean, like I said, I'm going to miss Tara the most. But for all the people they could have taken out, I mean, we know we're losing Michonne in a year or two, a season or two. So it would not have shocked me to see her head up there.
It would have surprised me only because they've confirmed her for a few episodes in season 10.
Yeah, but again, flashback episodes.
Yeah, possible, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with her.
Are they going to get a radio signal and she's going to go look for Rick?
I think that might be the explanation, is that she's going to go look for Rick and she's going to take the kids with her.
You think?
I think. We've talked about that before, and I think that's a real possibility.
I really think that she's going to leave the kids. As hard as that is, I can't imagine her putting them at risk like that. I think I'm going to leave you with these people and I'll come back if I find Dad.
Yeah, I don't see it. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I don't see her leaving the kids behind.
We're probably totally wrong.
So before we get into Comics Corner and before we kind of wrap up Rotting Potpourri, I just wanted to say that Alpha is really a chameleon. So she looks so different in her kind of drab t-shirt and her makeup on her face and her bald head versus the way that she looked when she was masquerading as Debbie of Alexandria. Her body even looks different.
Yes.
Like the way she carries herself, and she looks heavier set when she's in her Alpha presentation. I mean, she just looks totally different.
I've even made mention that I thought that there was something wrong with her upper lip when she's in her Alpha makeup and everything. And to see her as Debbie, she looked completely normal. So there's something going on with the makeup that makes her upper lip look swollen, like she's been punched in the lip or something, not like she's had fillers. And so it was just, it was amazing to me that, it's totally believable that she could walk around there with people that she had previously interacted with and not be recognized.
Yeah, she looks totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else? You got anything else for Rotting Potpourri?
The only other thing that I had actually occurred on The Talking Dead, and Scott Gimple talking about how since the inception of the show, he has wanted to deal with zombies in winter. Yes. And I'm like, oh, now you're not coming to Alaska. So we are going to get a definitive answer of whether or not zombies freeze and what happens when they unthaw or when they thaw. Sorry, I was called out one time for saying unthaw, and apparently that's like a Southern colloquialism, unthaw, it's
okay.
Yeah, you can't.
It makes sense. Something. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
So when zombies thaw, we will get the answer to what happens to zombies in the winter. And
I don't know. I hope they do. I hope they cover it.
Me too. Because I can see that, snow is just fallen, so the zombies aren't quite frozen solid. So of course they're still, they can still move, and we've talked about this, trudging through the snow. You don't know if there's a zombie laying there, and that's exactly what we see in the trailer.
I was going to say, we've seen it now, so
super excited for that one.
Well, so I guess the last thing I really want to say in Rotting Potpourri is that I'm actually really disappointed that we didn't get to see Henry beyond being love struck and stupid.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, I think there was so many different places that the character could have gone, and now it kind of leaves you wondering what's going to happen with Carl's storyline. You know, there's a big storyline with Carl and Lydia, so it kind of makes you wonder where that's going to go. The other thing is I thought that there was really interesting symmetry that 3 actors from the same family have played Carol's lost kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen that a couple of times. And we've talked about how it's tough to be a kid in the zombie apocalypse, especially around Carol.
Yeah, this is not Carol's fault. I can't blame this one on Carol.
No, this is definitely not Carol's fault. But yeah, I saw a headline where it's like, they need to stop doing this to Carol.
Yeah.
But you talking about wanting to see Henry past this, teenage love struck phase, it made me think about how much I hated Enid when she first started out. And, I really will miss her. Like, I just, teenagers, I'm over it. And when they get older, I enjoy their character. And so.
Did you notice that the actress was pretty tearful in her snippet on talking?
Yeah, I totally
felt
red-eyed.
really bad for her.
Yeah. Oh, they will be missed.
And, Brett Butler. I'm going to really miss Brett Butler. I really liked her as Tammy Rose.
She was so funny on The Talking Dead.
Oh, she was.
Wait till you're old. Oh, I kind of want to see the show she's coming out in with Reese Witherspoon, though, where she plays Reese's mom.
Well, she said she went for a part. She didn't say she got it.
I believe she did get it, because I know that Reese Witherspoon is coming out in a show. So let's just check that really quick. I don't see it. Maybe she didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. We'll have to watch for her.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do a check back in on IMDb in a few months and see if there's anything for her.
Yeah. Yep.
So, just real quick before we get to feedback, we've got Phil's Comic Book Corner. So this really takes place in the comic book at the end of volume 24, which is Life and Death, and a little bit into the beginning of volume 25, which is called No Turning Back. We do see Alpha showing someone the big herd that she has at her command, but it's actually Rick, not Daryl.
Ah.
And the language that she uses with Daryl is actually pretty direct from the comic book. She says, "I've seen how you live. I've walked your streets. It's a joke. You've built a shrine to a long dead world." And she says the same thing in the series that she says in the comic books. She also says to Rick, "We are animals, Rick Grimes, and animals need a leader. There is the dominant and submissive, the alpha and the beta. If the alpha doesn't assert itself, there is chaos."
So yeah, that was lifted straight from the book.
It was pretty close. And then she also says, "I have marked our border. You will know it when you see it." So similar language there too. In the comic book, the people who were killed, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. This is a big spoiler, people. So if you don't want to hear it, then go ahead and go to the end of the episode. Ahead. So Olivia, who we actually lost in Alexandria a couple of seasons ago, Tammy, so that is consistent. Luke actually dies. Yeah.
So glad he survived.
Rosita.
Yep.
Ezekiel.
Yep.
And then some kind of ancillary characters named Aaron, Ken, Amber, Oscar, and then a man that I couldn't find a name for.
And wasn't there a Savior Tara that was not our Tara?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I actually went back through and looked at the comic issue last night, and those were the people. Let's see. Volume 25 opens with Michonne, Andrea, Rick, Carl, and a Kingdomer standing at the pikes and actually putting down the zombie heads.
I was wondering who did that.
Mm-hmm. And they actually buried the heads kind of in a mass grave.
Oh, that's rough.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really show them doing that, but they talk about burying the heads.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to the bodies. I wonder if they were just like fed to walkers or what.
I was wondering that too. That's kind of a grim thing, but I was wondering that too.
Yeah.
I didn't really go any deeper into volume 25 because I figure that kind of gets into the territory about our group's response to the Whispers. So I'll kind of look into that when we watch next episode and then as we get into season 10. So that was pretty much it. Kind of the end of volume 24 and the very beginning of volume 25 is what we saw played out in this episode.
Wow. I loved how Scott talked about how it's the butterfly effect, you know. That's why so much has changed, you know. It's because of little changes early on.
Well, and I read an interview with Denise Huth, and she was talking about how the death of Henry is really going to drive both Carol and Ezekiel forward. So talking about butterfly effect is going to have a really significant impact on both of those characters.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know. But it sounds like that was part of the decision-making process for killing off Henry in this episode, is that they really wanted something to kind of move those two characters forward. It's
so interesting how the small decisions early on make such a huge impact so late in the show, because you know they had talked about how Tara was only supposed to be in like 3 episodes or something.
Right, yeah,
and she wound up in 5 seasons that. And then Brett Butler was like, I was just supposed to be in 1 episode and I wound up in like 5. So you know, it's so amazing how you know somebody's story can so drastically change from you know, not even the source material, but even from, you know, their start in the show.
Well, you know, and I'm pretty sure that Carol was supposed to have just a really tiny arc. So you're right. It's just very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to flip on over to our Biters page on Facebook, because I know that we've got some episode or some feedback.
Listener feedback. Yep.
And I will go first to our feedback from Victoria Morris, which was a private message to us today. So she said, "Hey, housewives, really enjoyed the podcast this week. Thanks. So episode 15, some positives and some negatives for me, definitely. The good, the scene between Connie and Kelly. Oh, I cried big, ugly tears. I think it was because I have a sister that I couldn't be without, so the sister thing hit hard. But also Kelly's face, when it crumpled, it was for me full waterworks. More of these two, please. And more of Connie's developing friendship with Daryl, too. Also good. I like Sadiq having a bit more a bit more to do here, and him spinning the story into Hope. And finally, Alpha randomly knifing one of her own people in the head because she was feeling a bit grumpy. Off the scale evil." I forgot to mention that. I'm glad that Victoria did.
Oh, that is funny.
The bad. Great big cop-out on the deaths. Some rando teenagers that we barely care about, highwaymen we've just met, Henry, who has frankly been annoying as hell as a teenager, and the nice lady who looked after the baby, but whom I wasn't too attached to. Great big cop-out. Enid, I could take or leave, so Tara is the only one I felt really sad about. As they hadn't killed off Rosita as I half thought they would, they'd better give Christian Serrato something to do. She's been totally wasted on the show for several seasons now, and I like her a lot as an actress. That was a bit more of a rant than I was originally going for, but I thought there should have been a bit more impact and irritation built as I was typing. I don't want the veteran cast to be killed off, but I shouldn't get what I want, because that way stagnation lies. It was still a good episode. I just wanted more, I think. I
have to agree with about 95% of that.
So you know, really... Oh, go ahead.
I like I said, I'm disappointed because I really liked the Highwaymen. I didn't want them to be cannon fodder for the Whisperers,
And
but
they were cannon fodder, weren't they?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the Rodney I could care less about, but Addie I was disappointed in losing her. So yeah, but Tara's the big one for me too.
I am having a really tough time kind of deciding who was the big impact for me. For some reason, I keep going back to Enid. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe just because her character was I feel like she was just developing in her, and with Maggie gone, it was really Tara and Enid that were, Enid was at Hilltop, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, she was the medic at Hilltop.
Yeah. Enid and Tara had kind of took over for Jesus and Maggie.
Who's going to take over now?
Right.
Yeah, that I did think about the vacuum and leadership at Hilltop.
Well, we have a new group that's going to be in Hilltop. Maybe one of them is going to step up. Maybe Yumiko.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if they would want a newbie to the society to step up and be leader, but if you watch the trailer that's for the upcoming episode, that might not be an issue.
I might have to stay away from the trailer and just be surprised.
It's only a week away.
All right, so looking at some other feedback, your poll, which we mentioned earlier, 56% of the people who responded said you are a crazy dog lady.
Yep.
I did see a new name, so I just want to give a shout out to Cindy Patton. I don't think I've seen any comments by her before, and she said definitely both. Kids are creepy and you're a crazy dog lady.
I'll take it. And for some reason, my Negan poll posted twice, so we got two different results for that one, but both were overwhelmingly that Negan will be our savior.
Right. We didn't see anything of him this episode, and I definitely think they're going to trot him out for the season finale.
Oh, most definitely. There was a funny comment on Twitter on Sunday night at Bravo 6 Romeo. It's just a picture of Negan, and it says, "Time to release the Kraken."
So Thomas O'Mara thinks there's going to be a bigger death next week.
And I was going to say, just because we haven't killed off any of the big characters this week doesn't mean we won't see them die.
Right. Ugh. Please let Ezekiel be okay.
Well, they didn't seem to tease any other than the usual suspenseful, we're in the midst of a bunch of walkers popping out type scenes. So, I don't know.
I'm going to try to stay away from spoilers. We'll see if I can.
I managed to. But that's because I don't go on the internet, like not even just not social media. I don't go on the internet at all, past noon on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Which is very smart.
It's difficult too.
So let's see, what else have we got on our feedback? Pedro. Go ahead.
Nathan Welty was loved that I said the 2000s.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You do say that quite a bit. It's pretty funny.
I didn't realize that was like kind of a technical term. Like, what else would you call the 2000s?
It's a meme-worthy thing.
It is.
Pedro Pelez said 3 major character deaths, but none that I would say are super major characters. It was still rough to see.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that Newsweek actually spoiled things.
Yeah. Well, I think Pedro.
Oh, yeah, he did. He posted a link to the article.
Yeah, he said that they posted it the whole list of names the full day before the episode released, and I said, thanks Newsweek, way to get ahead of yourself. Ahead of yourself. Get it? Where's my rim shot when I need it?
One other thing, and you kind of briefly mentioned it, and I totally missed it. Pedro brought it up in a comment. I like the callback to season 2 where Daryl comforted Carol when Sophia came walking out of the barn.
Yes, there were so many side-by-sides of those scenes on Twitter
I
on
can't
Sunday
believe I
night.
missed that.
Yeah. Oh. And, I feel like I really want to go back and watch that episode because I feel like he even said with Sophia's episode that he was like, don't look, which is what he said when, she was going up to Henry's head.
That is one of my favorite episodes.
Gut-wrenching.
So Brian's response about the episode, because I asked whether people thought it was a shocked or not, and he said nah. He gave it nah until the last 5 minutes. He gave it 3.2 alpha tears out of 5.
Talk about somebody who's dead inside. Can't believe you're still watching, Brian. You just hate watching.
I'm glad that he's catching back up. We haven't heard from him in a while, so it's good to hear Brian talking to us.
It is. It is.
I think that's pretty much it for feedback.
Yeah, you had more than I did. I had something from Victoria, but it was so small. It wasn't even what you had. It was the one where she said she had just finished. Wow, I cannot wait to hear the podcast about the episode by a mile. My favorite of this half of the season.
Oh, she must have been talking about Scars.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was March 19th. Yep.
So okay. I missed that. I actually missed that comment. And then Nathan Welty must have missed the last 20 or 30 minutes because he said, are you guys talking about an episode next week? Spoilers.
Nope, we weren't, but you were not the only one in that boat, Nathan.
Yeah.
So hopefully you watched the last 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully he's found it somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, girl, go ahead.
Oh, no, like I said, I hope that AMC just like wound up posting it for free on their website.
They needed to.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who got the timing all jacked up. I don't care if they did announce that there was going to be an extra long episode.
Yeah, that was a big screw up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all I had.
That's about all I've got tonight, too. We did justice to an episode that you didn't have any notes for.
Right? I had like a half a page of notes. And like 2 lines of it were from The Talking Dead.
Oh my gosh, I've got like 5 pages of notes and things scribbled in the margins and things in different colored pencils when I went back and watched it a second time.
Oh my goodness. Like 6 different highlighter colors, dog-eared some pages.
Hold on and let me overthink it.
Right? Oh, one more episode.
One more episode, and then we've got to decide what we're going to do with our time off. So what do you think, biters? What do you want to see us do until Fear comes back?
So my 2 suggestions were side-by-side comparisons of episodes with the books.
That means you actually have to read the books, too.
I know. I would, too. I would do that just for you biter fans.
Otherwise, it's going to be a really one-sided conversation.
Well, the other thing was to review different zombie movies of all genres, which means you would have to watch a lot more screen time.
Right? Or otherwise, it would be a really one-sided conversation.
Because you mentioned you had not seen 28 Days Later, and I really think you should watch 28 Days Later.
So we should probably do that in our off time.
Yeah, and so Aim for the Head podcast said that they've reviewed some George Romero movies, and I thought maybe we'd do one of those. I kind of figured we'd go the way of Mira Grant and maybe do one from each different type of zombies, because you've got the viral outbreak zombies, you've got the reanimated voodoo magical dead zombies, you've got the kind of like the Reanimator or the Slither zombies, the ones parasitical zombies. There's all different types of zombies we could review, and there's all different.
You're the movie queen, so I'm going to look to you to help us find zombies in those different categories.
Maybe we'll do a couple of those then.
I think we should do the Will Smith movie Legend, or I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, yeah.
I haven't seen that in a while, and I really liked it, so I wouldn't mind talking about that movie.
Yeah, and that is I forget that that's a zombie movie. It's
well, I think it's
technically a
more
zombie
vampires than zombies, but
it's reanimated dead. Which is also
I think of
vampires,
it as
kind
a
of.
zombie movie.
And if you wiki zombie movies, it does come up under zombie movies.
Okay.
So, and that actually would make me watch the original movie, The Omega Man.
I love that you wikied zombie movies and there's an entry for it.
Well, there's a whole line of romantic zombie movies like Warm Bodies. Like,
right,
we could just go totally off the rails with this.
I'm not gonna watch Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies again.
Oh, again. Okay, I was like, you haven't seen it?
I've seen it. I'm not gonna watch it again.
Karen Kilgariff on the My Favorite Murder podcast was talking about her favorite. What's the main guy in Pride and Prejudice?
Colin Firth.
Well, yeah,
Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy. That's not her Mr. Darcy. The original Mr. Darcy is her Darcy. And so I was like, the only Mr. Darcy I know had zombies in it. So not a romantic fan. I'll take the horror any day.
Well, it sounds like we've got some movies to watch then.
Oh, I can think of a few.
All right. Very good.
Excellent. But until next week, just remember, take it one day at a time.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.